Today, we're talking about a topic that has sparked a lot of debate in the fitness community. Can you really build muscle when you do Pilates? And how can you combine Pilates with weightlifting? And also just diving into some myths that I've heard way too much surrounding Pilates, and it's just, we need to debunk them. As I feel so strong about this topic, let's just dive into the myths that I've been hearing surrounding Pilates. Many women claim to think that their hormones were healed once they started doing Pilates. A lot of women will argue that they lost their period when they were trying to weightlift. And honestly, the truth behind this claim is so simple. It's the fact that you shifted from high intensity workouts to doing something that was lower impact. But the thing is, if you were to do a weightlifting routine and you did it correctly, it's not necessarily considered high intensity. High intensity are things like doing excessive cardio, HIIT workouts, or feeling like they just need to keep their heart rate really high in order for it to be a good workout. Every time I work with a new client, they feel like unless they come out of the gym feeling like they are sweating buckets, or they need to push their bodies to the brink of exhaustion in order for that workout to feel effective. In reality, an effective workout, you can take your exercises to close to failure. I've talked about this in my previous videos, but essentially you want to be in an RPE range of 8. It's actually really interesting because every time I have a client join on to my program, there's a little thing that you can do where you can rate your workout. And a lot of the times they rate it between 1 to 5. And when I ask them why, it's because they're so used to doing workouts that are like boot camps where you just finished a set. You need to be doing something in between sets so that way you keep your heart rate up, or they need to superset it so they're constantly working every muscle in their body. I remember one specifically asked if she's supposed to do burpees in between her sets just so she can keep her heart rate up. And this is where so many women think that lifting weights is considered high intensity. But the truth is, if your goal truly is muscle growth, like you're trying to build a booty, trying to slim your waist, you need those rest periods to let your muscles recover from such a hard and vigorous set. If you feel like 3 to 5 minutes of rest in between your sets is too much, something tells me that you're not lifting heavy enough and you have to increase the weight. As for the whole hormone healing claims, it's likely while you were lifting and before you started Pilates, your diet and nutrition was absolute garbage. Like, I'm sorry to say, but that is the truth. There's a very good chance you were not eating enough, you were not prioritizing protein, and you were not eating the right balance of carbs and fats. In my experience, women have a lot of fear around eating more food because they're terrified of the scale going up, so they end up staying in really restrictive cycles. And they are constantly dieting year round when the reality is your dieting phase should be a very small phase in your overall journey. Did Pilates really heal your hormones, or did you just benefit from switching from something that you were doing that was high impact to something very low impact? Before I get into why I think lifting weights is better, keep in mind that I'm only talking about if your goal is to build muscle. If you have no desire to grow your legs, to grow your butt, to have an hourglass figure, or to have a sculpted back, this video is not going to exactly pertain to you. If you enjoy doing Pilates, please keep doing it. This is not to stomp on Pilates saying that it is a terrible type of exercise. If it is a form of movement that you genuinely enjoy, please keep doing it. However, I am talking to those women who feel like Pilates is going to give them what they call the Miley Cyrus arm. You're looking for that sculpted body, like how Lori Harvey's body was like plastered all over social media as like the body goals. So these women were definitely lifting weights before they switched into Pilates. Okay, so I'm done prefacing that. Let's dive into the basics of what hypertrophy exactly is and what it takes to actually build muscle. So muscle hypertrophy, in simple definition, refers to increasing your muscle size. This happens when muscle fibers grow in response to resistance training with progressive overload. The key factors in this include mechanical tension. So this is the force generated against a heavy load. Muscle damage, which are the micro tears in your muscle fibers that are then repaired during the recovery. For true effective muscle growth, exercises need to involve some form of progressive overload, meaning you continuously challenge your muscles with increasing resistance. Now, this could mean many things. This could be increasing the weight of what you're doing. This could be increasing the reps and the sets. This could be doing more time under tension and slowing down your reps. This could be adding pauses, tempos. There's so many different ways to actually incorporate progressive overload, some form to increase the resistance. So let's talk about how Pilates alone would not be enough if you're trying to build muscle. Pilates, mat, and reformer Pilates involves the use of body weight, light form of weight, resistance band. Of course, if it's like reformer Pilates, using the springs and the pulley. While reformer Pilates does offer some form of resistance, it still doesn't compare to the basics of what building muscle is. According to the American College of Sports Medicine, muscle hypertrophy is best achieved by lifting weights between 60 to 85% of your 1 rep max, anything between 6 to 12 reps. Now with reformer Pilates, yes, you are adding resistance, but it does not reach the required level of intensity for muscle growth. This is why progressive overload is absolutely crucial, because it challenges your muscles and it allows for it to adapt so you can keep going heavier over time. In Pilates, progression typically involves increasing the complexity of the movement rather than increasing the actual resistance. Both type of Pilates, whether you're doing mat or reformer, focuses on core stability, flexibility, and controlled movement. While this is excellent for functional strength, injury prevention, it typically cannot cause enough muscle damage or metabolic stress for significant muscle growth. A study in the Journal of Sports Medicine and Science basically found that reformer Pilates is beneficial for improving muscle toning and endurance, but it does not induce the same levels of muscle hypertrophy in order to attain that right level of resistance training. While you're scrolling on TikTok or Instagram with all these women saying why you should switch to Pilates because it heals their hormones and it's so much more effective in building muscle, yada yada yada. When done correctly, when you're following a structured program and you are eating right for your goals, Pilates alone is not enough for muscle growth. However, I do think it's a great addition to add as part of your weightlifting routine. Personally, I would do this if Pilates classes were a lot more affordable, and if the fact that a gym membership wasn't separate from Pilates. I would definitely give both a shot because I do think Pilates is an incredible form of movement. And I know there's ways around it. You could probably access classes at a more affordable price if you do it through ClassPass, but I do know that availability is always really limited. It depends on your schedule availability. And on top of that, your studio choices are also limited. So while you might find a Pilates studio that's really close by, it may not work with your schedule, or you find that the class continuously fills up because everybody has a 9 to 5, everybody wants an evening class, or everybody wants a morning class before work. So keep those things in mind, and worst case, most gyms do offer mat Pilates, so there's nothing wrong with trying to incorporate it. So if you are somebody who wants to combine both, this is how I would go about it. A good workout split in order to combine both could be like your typical push-pull leg day, and then have 1 session of Pilates. If you want to increase your Pilates frequency, you could do something like an upper body day, a lower body day, and then 2 Pilates sessions. Regardless, no matter which route you choose, your nutrition needs to be in check to be able to support your activity level. If you are barely eating anything and surviving off of dieting, don't expect to see any changes in your body. Don't expect to see any muscle definition. Because if you're in a calorie deficit all year round trying to diet, you're going to see very minimal changes to your body. Okay, so to conclude this video, is Pilates considered better than weightlifting if your goal is to build muscle? Not necessarily. Pilates can complement your weightlifting routine if that's something you wish to do. But if your goal is to primarily build muscle, lose fat, it might just be beneficial to stick with lifting weights. Of course, you have the option to combine both. My only recommendation is make sure your nutrition matches exactly the activity level that you are putting out. So hopefully this video kind of clarifies the potential role Pilates could have in your fitness journey and helps you decide which is best to stick with for your long-term goals. If you found this video helpful, please make sure you like and subscribe. If you have any questions or want to share your experience, please let me know down in the comment. And I will see you next week.